How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to Manifest Destiny and Victoria 2. We are finally back at this game again. Had to take a little bit of a hiatus from this game because I've been busy with some other stuff recently. Speaking of being busy, I've also got me a Nintendo Switch, so I've been too busy digging around with that. So let's get back to some good old-fashioned world domination, colonization, racing, and some Vicky. So, among the things I've been doing while I was taking a little break from recording, I've been actually playing some EU4 and CK2, mainly just to learn how to play those games even better and more effective than I have in the past. And I have to say, it is working out quite well, and I actually am now considering starting a Let's Play on one of those games. Haven't gotten to touch Hearts of Iron 4 yet, because when I look at Hearts of Iron, I'm just a whole shit ton of information to process. But let's see what's going on. An attempted coup in Austria. A group of Czech radical Democrats attempted to overthrow the Austrian government in a coup. The plot, however, did not succeed and was, according to the Austrian authorities, regarded only as a local attempt by a few misguided townsmen. Further interviews revealed, however, that the actions of those misguided townsmen have already inspired others to rise up in demand of freedom. Will their cause succeed? Only time will tell. Well, oh yeah, I forgot. Austria had given birth to Hungary. Look at this, Austria just pushing Hungary out. Well, yeah, they got some Lombardian nationalists. Okay. But as I was saying, I still really want to. I want to get into one of those series for the channel, but I don't know. Like, those games are a lot longer than Victoria 2. With Victoria 2, you just have to deal with 100 years, and like, what, CK2, you can start for like shit, like in 769 or something like that, and go on till 1444, and then in EU4 you start from 1444 and go all the way to 1821, and that is too much cake for my plate right now. But you know, speaking of history, let's talk about some random historical nonsense, such as, let's talk about the United States of America getting into a war with Canada and British Empire at large with the War of 1812. Now, War of 1812, many Americans like to pretend it didn't happen. Some just ignore it, others just are ashamed of it. But I have to say, America did their gamble of trying to annex Canada practically, and they gave a half-assed effort, but it just wasn't enough. And I kind of find it silly how the United States tried to invade Canada, and they had like UK over here. I mean, granted, United Kingdom was dealing with Napoleon and like France having a fucking ball over here in the continent, but America, you know, War of 1812 was just a whole lot of border disputes along the Canadian-American border, and they just tried to say, hey, let's go up here, take over Nova Scotia and Quebec, and see if we can like overthrow the rest of Canada and make them into a state. Now, United States did, if you may or may not know, they had some support from some small segments of Canadian society. There have been Canadian politicians during that time that actually conceded to a possibility of allowing an annexation from the United States to become another state. Ooh. Woo! This is gonna be cool. 54-40 or fight. As American and British settlers began to move to the west coast of North America, there has been a growing dispute as to who owns the Oregon country. The entire region west of the Rockies, called Columbia by the British, has been explored by both countries, and there are legitimate claims on either side. British claims stretch all the way south to the 42nd parallel, while American claims reach north to the 54th parallel. But the British claim they are willing to compromise and have been pushing for an established border along the Columbia River, which they believe would be a fair solution to help both nations avoid another costly war. It's a clearly tense situation, and the specter of war with the British looms as politicians in the current election campaign are banging the drums of manifest destiny, name drop, in order to gain support. So let's see. What choices do we have? All of Oregon belongs to the United States. The United Kingdom gives American claims, and the Columbia events gain 5 infamy. Columbia, all provinces will get UK core and United States core. So, open further negotiations with the British. Will gain all as core. Get the compromise along Columbia River event. So, let me get this straight. Columbia. So, if we do this, we will essentially have, I'm guessing, this as a possible core against the UK. Open further negotiations. Basically, we will have all of this along the 42nd parallel, making de jure the United States. And let's see. Do I feel like being a jackass right now? I mean, if you follow me playing this series for a while, or any of my Let's Plays, you know I am a pretty powerful jackass in these games. Let's see. We have 9, they have 6. Honestly, in the future, I don't think we're ready for the British Empire yet, because as you can see, we've been focusing mainly on like culture, industry for the most part, kind of taking the back burner on the army. But if we do this, we'll get a core. The whole thing is, I don't want this to be like the other events where I selected, then it's like instant war, and then it's gonna be SpaghettiOs. So I'm gonna play it pragmatic and just do this. So we're gonna play a historical for this part. British have agreed to a compromise, splitting the Oregon country between us at the 49th parallel. Any British lands held by us will be turned over to them, and vice versa. Though some Americans are upset, many others are breathing a sigh of relief. Yes. And all right. And look, there they going back home. But just before I get back to that War of 1812 speech I was going on about. Ooh. Okay, but sidetrack. So let's talk about this. There's a little known thing that occurred in 1859 in America called the Pig War. And it was over this little island chain up here, Oregon. So basically during this time, the US and the British were, you know, fighting over the claims over who controlled these islands. I believe it's like San Juan, and I can't think of the other 2 islands right here, but they were doing a little slight colonial competition. You had American settlers on one half of the island, and then you have British settlers on the other half. And you know, it was one of those things where it was a game of cock suck goose. Fort Vancouver. And since we acquired Washington, Fort Vancouver has lost its importance. It was overshadowed by other settlements in the area. One called Seattle seems to be gathering more momentum, and several politicians have suggested we make this settlement the new capital of the region. Okay, let's do that. So what was going on up here was, as I was just saying, you had the British on one end of the island and the American settlers on the other end of the island. So what could possibly go wrong with that? Well, I'm giving you like a pretty brief rundown of it. There was a hog owned by some, I believe, Irish or Welsh settler on the British side of the island that went over to the American side, where this one farmer was having his plants eaten by this hog. So while that was going down, the farmer got pissed. So because it happened on more than one occasion. What is this? Okay, let's go with that. So the pig came back another time and was messing with the American farmer's garden. The American farmer being pissed and possibly a little bit tipsy, shot the damn pig, killing it. So American farmer actually felt bad to the British farmer and wanted to compensate him for the pig by giving him $10. The farmer from the Grand Old UK was not having any of that, and what he wanted was $100 for the pig. So the British side, he went to go tell his soldiers at the fort on the island that, hey, America killed my pig and they ain't doing nothing about it. So then the soldiers of the British side tried to step in. American colonists, feeling threatened, decided to call in their boys from Washington State. And then both sides built forts on the island, and it seemed as though the United States and Great Britain were about to go to war over a goddamn hog. It's stupid, I know, but both sides, they were at least held by fucking realistic generals, realistic leaders. The United States side, both sides, I should say this, both English and the United States had whatever you do, keep control of the situation, but for God's sakes, do not fire the first shot, because then it would just lead to escalation and all that good stuff. Basically, a war in North America over a goddamn pig being shot. After some quick negotiations and discussions, the British actually seceded the islands to the American side, which is kind of why it's shown like this on the blue side, even though in real life this event happened in 1859, I believe. So yeah, that's just one of history's little forgotten coinky dinks about just about the cause of a war between two great nations over a damn pig dying. No one died, no actual human casualties or anything like that occurred during this. It's mainly just boiled down to shit talking on both sides, trying to goad the other into firing, which, as we know now, didn't lead to much of anything. Now in Victoria 2, I am trying to figure out what in the hell of Fitzgerald is going on over here. Austria-Hungary War for Imperial Restoration. Okay. So Austria is trying to do something beautiful, and Hungary is trying to fend that off. Yeah, good luck about that, Hungary. Right now, United States is minding its own business over here. So, but anyway, let's get back to the War of 1812. So, United States trying to see if it could do a little quick gamble and everything. Wanted to try to annex Canada. Now, they did make some successful incursions, but as usual during that time period for America, America was not at its full strength. America was for lack of a better term, think of it as Goku, that's not powered up. Goku from Dragon Ball. Just a kid who had a staff, who could probably do a Kamehameha, and that's really it. Now, America in the future is basically Super Saiyan God Goku, but that is in the future. But right now, United States did their little incursion into Canada, faced some little bit of resistance, and the Canadians actually beat them back decisively in a couple locations. And actually, the Canadians did the smart thing. Well, I should say the British, because it's the British Empire, so we're going to ignore that. They did a counteroffensive by taking Detroit, basically up here around the Great Lake region. Why? Because it was strategically important. They managed to beat back the Americans for a little bit, and they also had the help of a group of Native Americans led by this one named, I want to say Tukamesh, but he had his own. Let's see, what is this? The Gadsden Den Persia. Questions and disputes linger unresolved with Mexico. Natives on the rims of our territory attack our neighbor, and we agreed to protect them from that. The lack of control didn't help the attacks carry on. The Mexicans also claim we owe them indemnity over the attacks and argue agreed to pay under the conditions of our last treaty. These continuing tensions between Mexico and us complicated our efforts to find a southern route for a transcontinental railroad, as the only valuable routes pass through Mexican territory. Attempting to defuse the situation, American President sent James Gadsden, the new American Minister to Mexico, to negotiate with Santa Anna. Secretary of the State William Mercy instructed Gadsden. So you need $100,000 to buy all the land if the Mexican government agrees to it. 50,000. What is this? What? Hold up. I kind of want to do this just to see what this does. Fuck it. Oh, I didn't notice this. Hey, can I move this? So, I see up here. We gained like these parts of New Mexico and Tucson. All right, the Mexican government agreed to sell only Tucson and Animas, the minimum necessary to build the transcontinental railway. Additionally, the deal will settle the native reparations question and the monetary claims between the countries related to the Garay project. If we don't take this offer, we won't have another one to buy this land. All right. Well, that wasn't 100,000. We just lost 50. So, all right, good enough. So we just gained that. But yeah, America was, at this time, they had early on at the beginning of the conflict with the British, they had a little bit higher number of troops, but that's just because, like, as I said, Britain was over here having a ball with France and Napoleon. So what they did was basically the Canadians kind of fought a defensive war after making some incursions. Britain, knowing that the United States pretty much had a non-existent navy at the time, went like, going up the Chesapeake, dropped some soldiers off and burned down Washington, D.C. They burned the Capitol, they burned the presidential mansion, which was at the time before it was called the White House. And yeah, America like had to deal with that. That was like, what? I think that's the only time. No, there was like the time during the American Revolution when the U.S. Capitol was in Philadelphia. That was invaded, but technically it was, I would say, because the American Revolution was like a contested independence movement. After the country formed, that was the only time when D.C. was ever under foreign occupation. This is, you see, this is what you learn if you watch History Channel or just do like a nice little reading. Just curl up by the fire with a little glass of Chardonnay and just read a nice old history book. So you can learn something pretty cool. Yeah, so ever since then, United States and Canada have been in relations. They're recently now pretty friendly, but before that, and we do mean before that, America had designs against Canada. Speaking of designs, they had, what was the code? I believe it was Code Red. It was basically, America had several different code names for operations against like several different nations between like 1865 and the like just before World War I and World War II. So they had a plan for if they got into an eventual war with the UK. And the operation was named Operation Red or Ruby. I might be getting it confused. So the plan was, funnily enough, if they ever got into a war, quickly destroy any Canadian resistance, occupy Quebec, Upper Canada, Lower Canada, and the Maritimes over here. Basically just take over this big chunk, and like the rest of Canada would just be, well, essentially done. Now, They had plans for this. They actually got to the point where they they built secret air bases, like I believe in like Michigan and such in like the early 1900s for a specific operation for that. But as we all know, it never occurred because World War I and World War II started tap dancing around the world. But the plan, if we take all intents and purposes, if the plan actually did occur, the United States would have annexed Canada. No hurry bar. Even if Britain stepped in, it would have annexed Canada. And the reason why is because the Canadians actually had a defense plan against America, and that was known as, I believe, Defense Scheme Number 1. And their plan was just really a light incursion into Detroit, and the rest would just be a defensive incursion. They will also do like a light incursion in New England up here, but the incursion would have been a failure because essentially they would have sent their best troops over into Detroit. The troops would not have the resources or the logistics to hold it. It was mainly just a distraction force to give the UK time to send over troops. Now, the UK's plan was, believe it or not, was simply to abandon Canada. They would have probably at most sent one army over, like roughly like about 100,000 troops as a token force into Canada. But by the time that would have possibly occurred, it wouldn't have mattered, or they would have been too late. The United States would have just smashed the Canadian defenses because they actually like planned ahead with Code Red that the Canadians would actually do a defensive war. So America had planned for that, and they would have, like, for all intents and purposes, and by this time the industrial might of America was getting jokingly incredible. So all this would have been swiftly knocked out the way, and it just would have been a tragedy for Canada. It would have been a God bless America moment for everyone else in the United States. I'm gonna focus on business banks because I want to raise our tax income level because we are running in a little red, not too much, but it's something we gotta fix. Oh, speaking of fix, 1870. I gotta remember that 1870 is when we're gonna try to colonize. I don't know if I'm gonna focus solely on that or I'm just gonna mind my own damn business, but we shall see, folks. We shall see. But yeah, America had a plan which more or less would have succeeded because Britain, like the investment they would have had to make to invade the United States, or hell, even to save Canada, would have just been stupid. They knew it would, like, because they had to deal with, rising Germany, like the troops in India, like all that nonsense Britain would have had to deal with. And yeah, they pretty much would have just written off Canada at best and sacrificed them at worst. And America also had like a operation where they were worried about, I believe, if I might be mistaken, Japan and Canada working together. I think I might be wrong in that. I do know they had one for Japan called Code Orange, and that was like defense of the west coast of the United States. And then Canada at the time, when it became a dominion, was all like, well, if United States and Japan gets to a war, let's stay neutral, knowing how dumb and ignorant that position is, because one, then Canada and North America, United States are neighbors. Two, an invasion by Japan would have threatened Canada regardless. And three, if the UK decided to join America as an ally, Canada would really have to join, more or less. So it was just one of those things where if it happened, it would have been stupid for everybody. Duncan Revolt. What the hell if this joke is going on? What is this? Connet. Look at over here. So it looks like China's about to win this war. I guess they're gonna re-annex them. No, they're gonna try to make them a puppet. Britain is being aggressive in India. I can already tell. Huh. I wonder, but I really wonder how the crisis wars are going to be. And seeing as how like the populations and everything is kind of set in stone. Well, not set in stone, but like not super high to begin with. I don't know if I want to, you know, expel some like hundreds of thousands of US soldiers for relatively nothing. And let's actually stop this. Get some intellectuals. Let's just focus on intellectuals right now. And all right. Actually, intellectuals from New York and intellectuals from Pennsylvania. There, that looks much better. Let's get to that 2% optimization. Anyway, I wonder what a modern day war with Canada will be like. Well, honestly, let's also talk about modern U.S. military. The United States is not designed for occupational wars. I could say that is a given because we really don't have the hell officially recognized former Russian to Dagestan. Oh, so we can piss off the Russians by basically saying we recognize the independence of you? No. Let me see. Hello? Okay. No. Okay, so I'm guessing it means Circassian. Annex Hawaii. Ah. Okay. Look at all these new things. Native Integration Act. Experimental psychology. Okay. Yeah, Caucasian. Okay. So let's talk about this. Okay. Got it. What the hell are you? Senussi. It's Tunis. Oh my goodness. All this nonsense going on in the world. What does the world come to? Okay, so I do believe we should focus on our arms for a little bit, because I do believe when it comes to it, we are going to be getting into an inevitable war with some of these great powers over here. Over what? I'm not sure. Will it be beneficial? The fuck? Oh, Congress of Poland! Never mind. They're about to get there. Not okay. So this is, they actually have it where, okay, so Poland just declared like pseudo independence movement, and so now this is going to be the thing where they're just going to get annexed pretty much by Russia. Oh, they have the Polish Congress in here. That is super cool. I'm not gonna officially reconcile. I mean, recognize, blah, 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 blah. Where's our consciousness at? It's rising. I wonder if like the mod actually times, like it's gonna time the Civil War, like for it to occur. Yeah, so let's focus on investments. I'm gonna just raise it to speed 4 for a little bit. Oh yeah, let's see. We already got Hawaii in our sphere. Let me see where. Yeah. Who should we sphere? Let's go for Ecuador, because why not? Start influencing you. And let's increase our relations with you. And let's also increase relations with Prussia. Boop. All right, so yep, the Polish uprising of 1855, a spontaneous protest by young Poles against conscription into their army, has quickly erupted into a widespread insurrection across the Russian Empire, supported by high-ranking Polish and Lithuanian officers and politicians. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No. Let's see. It seems that possibly we get a castability against Russia. The SSDC, a small military steamer, mysteriously sank yesterday while on port call in a foreign harbor, following a massive explosion on the starboard midship. Military intelligence suggests that the explosion may have been caused by an overheated boiler. Basically, this is what the event we should have get from Spain, which I am surprised we don't have yet. I'd rather it be Spain so we can annex Cuba, at least, or the Philippines. I'd rather keep the prestige. And it is not going to be beneficial for us to even... I mean, look at this. What would be the benefit of us like just fighting over Alaska, where Russia will undoubtedly give it to us? And Russia, I mean, they really don't have much we want. Ah, yes, the moral crusaders. Wickedness must be stamped out. I mean, let's see. What could we... No. Yeah, this is really, like, worthless to fight over. It's not worth it. Russia will eventually... Oh yeah, we still have the Valley Casus Belli. That's just until next year. Try to maintain positive with Russia. And Xinjiang. And Russia is over here, bullying the Congress of Poland. A southern belle, clad in her white dress, strolling down the streets, her radiance, nobility, and simple beauty turns heads, speaking her gentleness, kindness, hospitality, and accents. All draped in the flavors of magnolia, soft cottons, and southern verandas do the same. Virtue, honor, and dignity in manifest form. Such are the women of the South. A toast to Dixie. Shoot. Well, we still are maintaining our sphere of influence in South America. I'm basically just going to influence the hell out of South America because Monroe Doctrine. And I'm about to wrap this video up shortly. What was this? Okay, continue on with Ecuador. We are now cordial with you guys. They're trying to go for a status quo. Well, they got UK and Spain, 2 Sicilies, but it's not going to be enough. It honestly is not going to be enough. Warsaw is about to fall. UK is too far away. 2 Sicilies could give 2 shits, and and really, that's just going to be it for Poland. So let's see. Actually, let's go for this one. Or no, actually, let's focus a little bit on this military for right now. Though I forgot they did change this. Alright, let's actually go for let me see. This one. Self-automation. Let's go for that, and then I will go for still steamers next. Okay, it seems that it's kind of gotten us there. Now we're back to being positive. Alright, so I'm going to wrap this video up right here. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I know I did, being back in this game. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And when we return, we are going to, well, witness Poland come back under captivity with Russia. So this is SoloSupreme, and have a great day, folks.
Now this one is pure niceness.